I decided that I would read some of the stories I wrote about Carolyn, and that might give you an idea of who she was and all that. The first one I want to read to you is about her trip to Corona, where she got lost. And all of these stories are in my book. That reminds me. And and she was very happy that these were published. This first one is It's a Trick. It's a trick. It's all a trick. Because if you don't already know the details of Southern California's freeway, highway, byway, and or driveway system dogma, i.e. codes, etc., you will be forever lost. The system creators, as well as helpful native residents, will smile upon you, and with a very soothing, trust me, confident, purring voice, they'll direct you to where to turn or there to turn, a numbered highway or a landmark to pass, or some other simple direction. The signs will say north, south, east, or west. The arrows will point left, right, up, down, sideways, and it will all sound so easy and simple. But beware. They are not telling you everything. They are not telling you the one teeny tiny piece of info that you must have to get from here to there. Oh, that. Oops, too bad. It's pretty much universal. No one really knows where they're going or exactly how to get where they think they want to go. But know this, they are traveling fast, very fast. Whether they actually arrive at the desired destination is immaterial as long as they move 80 to 120 miles per hour. Going fast is the important thing, and anyone traveling slower than anyone behind you is absolutely invisible. If you're trying to merge to the left onto a freeway and a B-16 long tanker is emerging to the left from another freeway, which has divided 1/8 of a mile back, don't try to speed up. The tanker driver wants you gone. He does not want you ahead of him. The best thing to do is just ease on over into the bushes and pray for a quick death or evaporation. You don't have much of a choice because it seems that God is driving that truck. He is pissed and in no mood to save or bless any mere driver, especially the slow ones. To top it all off, once you get away from that truck driving God, there's another one just ahead. You may be armed with MapQuest, and that's cool. Well, sort of. If a friend or anyone offers you easy verbal directions, never hear them out. That too is a trick. So don't do it. All those helpful people giving you easy directions are all from Milpitas, London, and or Outer Mongolia and have no more of an idea on how to get to the destination than you do. You could ask the gas station attendant, but there are none in sight. They are all behind the bulletproof mirrored glass and are laughing their heads off at the directions they gave the last lost girls and boys. They might be taking bets on how long it will take for the confused drivers to return and ask them again for the same directions. So maybe you could try the Circle K across the street. You get your pin, MapQuest Maps. Turn your car off. Oops, the lights are still on, so start the car and turn the lights off, then turn the car back off. Go into the store. Ask the cashier if she could help you. She stares at you blankly. She says, I'm from Milpitas, but maybe Jose can help you. Hey, Jose, tell this lady where to go. Actually, his name is Juan, and after informing the cashier and you of that fact, he says, Senora, how can I help you? You tell him you need directions to Upland, and he replies, Oh, Senora, go back that way. Go to 91. On about half at by exit miles, you get on 50 north. You say, 91? East or west? Juan says, Ma'am, go east. You take old Juan's directions and try to follow what he's told you and get on 91 east. And after 4 or 5 minutes, you never ever see a sign for 50 north. That's when you think, shit, I was going 91 east in the first place, and you must have gone too far. Maybe east is really west in Spanish, so you turn around again and look for 50 in, 50 north. When you realize that you really do speak Spanish, 50 north means 15 north. Silly white girl. I believe as soon as I find 15 north, I'll be on my way home. Maybe. Sooner or later, you're going to see that you can get to 15 north, but there are 4 to 6 directional signs hanging over the freeway exchanges, each with an arrow. The cities are listed just above the arrows, and you think, oh yeah, until you realize every city is listed except yours. Oh no, where's Upland? There's no mention of Upland, and you don't know what cities surround Upland. Well, you do kinda know where you want to go. You want to go to Upland, and I want to go on 15 North, but there are 4 exchanges for 15 North. So you get off on the one that says 91 East and try to get help again. Oh, I see. I'm in Riverside. I really didn't want to do this, but I used the cell phone and called Linda for directions. It's after midnight and she has to be up by 5 a.m. to go to work. She answers the phone and stays on with me until I recognize where I am. Hey, I know my way around. Lost. I know my way around lost, but to find found, you need to think slow, but drive faster than you think. You should always know exactly where you want to go. Get driving directions before you leave your house, and no matter how awkward it feels, follow them to the letter. It may seem the long way around, but it is probably the short way. Then didn't I prefer the mountains, but had to move to the flatlands because of her work. We talk of becoming flatlanders. It's not something either of us aspire to, but having managed to leave my house, get lost in Corona, Riverside, San Bernardino on the 110, 215, 91, 15, and 60, I believe I may unwittingly become a flatlander. I need a Calgon bath and hope it takes me away, back to Northern California where everyone is equally lost. So that was written actually by Carolyn on little tiny pieces of napkins that she brought home with her from that trip, and she handed them all to me and she says, you have to write this story. So that's story number 1. The next one, the next story was written, well, I'm just going to tell you a little story. I'm going to tell you about how she convinced me that I needed to get my ears pierced. We had been, trying to find something here. We had been, it was summer and I was in town and we've been doing a lot of sewing, and as usual, we were always, you know, trying to be more beautiful than what we actually always were. And she had had her ears pierced, and I was always admiring her earrings. So she told me that I needed to get my ears pierced. And I said, no, it's going to hurt. I don't want to have my ears pierced because, it's going to hurt. She says, no, I promise you, I know a girl who can do it. She's at the mall. And that's when there was a mall in Antioch over by Happy Steak. And because it was close to Happy Steak, of course, we had to go there. Mervin's was there and a bunch of other things. So there was this little kiosk. So she plied me into going. We first went to Happy Steak for lunch, and then we headed towards this kiosk. And she says, I promise you, it's not going to hurt. So I sit down, and this girl comes at me with this hole puncher thing and punches a hole in my first ear, and I screamed out and I said, you said it wasn't going to hurt. And she said, I lied. But I said, that's fine. I'm only going to have one ear pierced. And she says, no, you have to have both ears pierced. You can't get up and leave without getting the second one pierced. And so I sat there and got the second one pierced. And I was so pissed at her. I was so mad. I said, "You lied to me. You told me it wasn't going to hurt." And she says, "But now you can buy all these beautiful earrings. And aren't you happy that you can do this? We can buy earrings together." And I thought, I am never going to forgive you for this. And I've had my ears pierced ever since. Um, there was, I was, there was a time frame when I had been really sick, and I was living in Carolyn's mother's apartment complex. And we had decided, I was finally feeling good enough to get out and go do some things. And so we decided to go on a little field trip. And this is kind of typical how our field trips usually went. But I wrote this story. It's called McGyverish. And it's really, really true to who Carolyn was. Because I'm telling you, she was a sort of a MacGyver. Carrot and I were at loose ends. I was recovering from surgery and was finally at a point where I was feeling pretty damn good. It had been more than a year since I had felt like doing anything more than sleeping and gluing my eyeballs to the television. She was there to be a caregiver to me and her mother, who was also ill. I loved having my best friend and my best and most trusted friend around. Today was a good day. The sun was bright and my shiny white convertible was calling us. Come to me. It was whispering lyrically, take me to the country. It was teasing us, taunting us. The front grille seemed to have a warm, welcoming smile. The red leather seats appeared as comfortable easy chairs. With the top down, the car was as sexy as Jessica Rabbit. And some 1960s rock and roll, and she was a complete package. There was no way we could resist. We grabbed some sodas and CDs. We were soon settled into the bucket seats. We put the top down, slipped in some music, and off we went. We zipped out the driveway and onto the highway, passed through town, and ended up on some back roads that would lead us towards Oroville. We had some deli sandwiches and fixings and planned to have a bit of a picnic near the reservoir. We found a spot and munched down our lunch. As we left the reservoir, we decided to take a road we had never been on before. We decided that at the first available road on the left, we would start our adventure to wherever it would take us. The road was narrow and dusty, without much pavement. It twisted and turned over dirt-lined canals. We knew it would dead end at some point, but decided to see how far it would take us. It seemed like miles. We saw no houses, no people, just trees, weeds, and ditches with lots of trash. It seemed this whole area was being used as a trash dump for people who didn't want to pay for garbage pickup. I was getting tired. If you asked Carrot, she would probably tell you I was getting cranky. I needed to rest and wanted to get back to my bed. I stopped the car with the idea that Carrot would drive us home, but just about that same time the car heat indicator went red and steam jetted out from under the hood. Uh-oh. We were miles from anywhere. There was no way I could walk the distance to get back to the highway. I was getting panicky. Carrot was calm. She got out of the car, checked under the hood. A water hose had slid and we were losing coolant. She was so matter of fact that it irritated me. How could she be so nonchalant about such a thing? She told me we would have to wait for the engine to cool before she could fix it. What? Fix it? How in the world were we going to fix it? I didn't take any spare water hoses with me on random excursions to the country, but she simply said it would be okay. Here, have the rest of your sandwich, and oh, look, we have some cream puffs. I sat in the passenger seat and obediently ate what she put in front of me. After eating, I reclined my seat back and closed my eyes. Carrot went down the embankment to the trash-lined ditch. She was so excited when she returned that I thought I could see her eyes twinkle. She had an old bicycle inner tube, pair of pantyhose, some plastic grocery bags, a gallon milk jug, and a broken piece of glass. I thought to myself, she's lost it. I'm doomed out here in nowhere with a lunatic. She started to explain to me how she was going to fix our problem, but realized that I neither understood nor believed it was possible. First, she used the broken glass to cut the legs from the pantyhose, cut a piece off the already sliced rubber inner tube and made strips from the bag. She wrapped the inner tube piece around the water hose and then wrapped one leg of the stocking around the patch. It was like a rubber patch held on with pantyhose bandage. She then took a piece of the grocery bag and wrapped that around the pantyhose and covered it with a part of the other leg. She filled the gallon jug up with water from the ditch and poured it into the radiator. After several trips for water, she told me to start her up. The engine purred as Carrot inspected her handiwork. The temperature was staying at a safe degree, and there were no visible signs of leakage. I looked at the host in amazement. Carrot was a miracle worker. I would not die out on some dirty, dusty old road to nowhere. We headed back toward home with the top down and singing hits from the 1960s at the top of our lungs. No heavy metal or rap for us, just tunes from our younger years. Carrot was driving and I was enjoying the ride. As worried as I had been while parked alongside that ditch, I was just the opposite on the drive home. We pulled into our parking space, put the top up, and popped the hood. There were no signs of leakage from the McGyver-type handiwork. The radiator had not lost any water. As I settled down on my bed for a much-needed nap, I wondered if Carrot had taken improv lessons from my mother. My mom was also very MacGyverish, and she learned so much from my mom that they just seem to be an awful lot alike. There's a story that I wrote about Carolyn and my mom when mom was she was making a garden. Every year she had a garden, and she told Carolyn that she was welcome to share the garden with her if she would share the work. So Carolyn was, oh yeah, sure, I want to do that. And so I can't find that story. Anyway, I can just tell you, mom was very particular. She had to have it rototilled, and then she would rake it, and she'd get all the clumps out, and she'd make all the rows and all of that. And then she would, Carolyn was with her and helping her the whole way. And then this one day she came over, she says, okay, we have to work this into the soil. And Carolyn was like, okay. And mom says, here's a pair of gloves. And she says, oh, I don't need gloves. I'll just wash my hands, afterwards. I'm not afraid of dirt. So they're working away, and Carolyn keeps smelling something, and she keeps looking over at my mom, and my mom is snickering. She's like, ha ha ha, I've done something, And then finally Carolyn stands up, looks at her hands, and she said, this is shit! And my mom is bursting out laughing, probably peeing her pants. She says, of course it's shit. What do you think manure is? And so Carolyn ran off and washed her hands and came back with gloves, and they finished doing the garden. But she was just so surprised that it was horse poop that she just was like, this is shit. So, anyway, but that's kind of the relationship my mom had with Carolyn. When Richard and Carolyn were first married, she didn't know how to cook. She didn't know how to cook very well. And she found out, she asked my mom, she says, what does Richard really like to eat? And my mom told her, well, he loves liver and onions. So they spent some time, my mom teaching Carolyn how to make liver and onions. Well, she goes to the store and she buys the liver and onions, and she starts cooking them for Richard. And oh, he loves it. He's just so happy. He's beside himself. He loves liver and onions, except that she made them every night for a week. And Richard comes over and tells my mom, do you think you could teach Carolyn how to cook something else? I'm getting real tired of liver and onions. So when Carolyn came over, my mom says, "Okay, tonight we're going to learn. I'm going to show you how to make loopskis." And so she made loopskis. So for the next week, it was loopskis, and then the week after that, it was liver and onions, and then it was loopskis, and then it was liver and onions, until my mom taught her how to make something else. But that was how she learned how to cook. And as it turned out, Carolyn was an excellent cook, and she could make anything. I mean, and I guess that's why we thought we could make wallaby darns, is because she could just figure it out. But Richard got real tired of all of his favorite foods. So, yeah. Uh, when the kids were small, we would, yeah, it's 20 minutes, so I think I need to stop this video. And so this is, kids, you can show what you want. You know, you don't have to show any of them, whatever you want to do.